Draft pod time. That's right. We're getting ready for Thursday night football with some good old-fashioned mock talk. Getting into it all. How did the Chargers and Broncos get here to be playoff contenders? Where do CU's stars go? And a whole lot more coming to you now. DNVR Draft Pod. That's right, baby. We are doing it. No Todd, no Henry, no Zach. They'll be coming to you tonight. Big one, Jake.
Massive game.
Big game. Harbaugh versus Sean Payton. Old school football right here. Love to see it.
With the playoffs on the line.
What a time to be alive. Just incredible.
It's amazing.
We, of course, coming to you from the Toyota Lounge, DNVR Draft Pod, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Don't you forget it. I've already got Brandon France in the chat, the Toyota chat, talking about Caleb Johnson, Iowa's running back, who already Broncos fans getting hyped about.
We need one. There's a good crop of guys that...
Great running back class.
I don't know, like 5 or 6 of them that I would be very happy with.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 coming out the Big 12. Make that like 15 coming out from all of college football, including old KJ over here.
I mean, you're right. You're right. It's a deep class. It's a talented class.
The Big 12 backs are insane.
Oh, bro.
So much fun.
It's been the conference of running backs.
Scattaboo. Devin Neal would be really good in a Broncos offense. But, yeah, you've got a ton of talent at the running back position. Got a good amount of talent all over.
Yeah?
Maybe not a ton, but a good amount. And it starts with 2 guys. I don't know. You've probably never heard of them before. The Colorado Buffaloes. It's a program in the Big 12, and they're said to have 2 of the top prospects in this draft. So... I can tell you a little bit about that because that's been a blind spot of yours. You're not too familiar with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. We're kidding, of course. He's the #1 insider. So, yeah, man, we're going to talk a lot of football, but we're going to do it while getting through a nice little mock draft. And then the Jakester wants to get into a little playoff preview.
Yeah, baby.
So we'll have that for you, of course, brought to you by Bet365, all our lines. So let's do it. And we've told ourselves, take a sip if you're playing our favorite drinking game, that we will go fast through the first few picks before we get to the Broncos at 23. I look to you to hold us accountable. Lots of great pick suggestions for the Broncos. LB3, Tyler Warren. You guys know it. But let's start with the Raiders at 1.
Okay. If the Raiders are on the clock,
yeah,
and Shedeur Sanders is on the board,
yeah,
I think it's just going to happen.
Locked in, regardless of coach.
I think so.
Okay.
It's the Brady connection to me.
Yeah, no, I think Vegas and the Raiders present some marketing opportunities that Shedeur and Coach Prime might be intrigued by.
Sure.
They need a quarterback desperately. I would hate to see him end up in the AFC West. You do think they are a team on Shedeur's list, though?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think Vegas is one of his favorite cities. I think he loves the silver and black.
The Giants undoubtedly a far better fit, though.
I think so, 100%.
Yeah.
I think him and Neighbors would be just must-watch TV. I think that they actually have a decent roster that if you just put in a quarterback, they can actually win some games next year.
Andrew Thomas has really come along at left tackle. Yeah, you've got, 2 of your premier spots and your #1 wideout and your left tackle are taken care of. And Dable potentially as a play caller, I think you could do a lot worse.
Yeah. But I think that the Vegas Raiders, particularly their ownership group, have a infatuation with Shedeur Sanders.
I mean, it's smart. So, and again, these mock drafts, I remind you from time to time, this is what we think would happen, not what we would do if we were the GMs.
Yes.
We would also, I think, select Shedeur number 1 if we were a quarterback needy general manager. Let's go to the G-men at 2. Cam Ward, do you have any other quarterbacks that are in the mix for you here, or is it pretty easy?
I think this is pretty easy. It's Cam Ward. We'll see what Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers decide on. And either way, if they decide to enter the draft, I think they need to have massive, pro days, combines, all-star game performances to really enter the top 10 conversation, as it stands right now at least. Or maybe even playoff performances for, at least Quinn Ewers. I mean, I think he can make up a lot of ground in the playoffs.
Agreed. And the couple big games he's had have really elevated his stock for sure. I said Ewers is going to have a really interesting decision.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't declare for the draft, I think he's got to find another team. Which, again, I don't think would be impossible for him. But I think Texas is riding with Arch Manning because they're
ready.
Yeah, they're ready, and they also don't want to lose him. If that's your choice, Arch or Ewers, you're just going to go with Arch, I think, at this point.
Yep, 100%.
That leaves us at number 3 with the Patriots. Travis Hunter on the board. He could be Drake May's number 1 wideout, and he could be paired with Christian Gonzalez at quarterback.
This is, I think, one of the best possible landing spots for Travis Hunter.
Oh, it really is. It's incredible.
We got to move, but real quick, because of that, but because also I think Gerard Mayo, just as a younger coach, someone who's played in the league, I think he'll totally get what Travis brings to the table and will truly allow him to be Travis.
That would be great. The Jaguars would be the other team, and we are drafting for them at 4. There's more of a local connection with the Jags, and Travis being a North Florida guy, right?
He grew up there, and then he got moved to Georgia. He got moved to Georgia later in his younger life.
So there's that connection there. You assume Doug Peterson is gone. But yeah, I don't know. The top need for the Jags would be offensive tackle. I think it's too rich to go OT this high in this class. I think what you need is more weapons where they've just been lacking a blue chip wide receiver for a minute. And Tatoria McMillan, T-Mac is right there staring you in the face at 4, and I think you take him.
Yeah, I agree.
We move on to the Panthers, where I think it's time to keep going with Bryce Young. And I think you could also use a number 1 wide receiver. Is that too rich? You could also beef up the offensive line, and you do have Ike Mekwonu there, who you may or may not want to continue riding with, but you could add another position O-lineman there. So I think,
maybe edge,
but do you go defense when it's so crucial to kind of understand what you have in Bryce Young and try to kind of capitalize on investing in that young QB?
How high do you think Ashton Genty can go?
I think he could go very high.
You think he could go in this spot?
I think he could be the highest drafted skill position, not named Travis Hunter, offensive skill position, not quarterback either. And T-Mac has already gone ahead of him. So, yeah, I think he's fully in play. My pause is they've drafted Jonathan Brooks just last year. Chuba Hubbard has had a breakout season, and they just renewed him. Do you really need yet another running back? No, you could tell me, look at the lines.
Yes, and then Brooks also got another serious injury, didn't he not? I can't remember what happened, but I think he's going to lose some time.
Man, that's a fun one. That's a fun one. Let's do it. Let's do it. That is a really good one. The NFC South, they need a little juice, and you get it there. We go to the Titans at 6, where suddenly QB3 becomes an important discussion. Drew Aller staying in school, yes?
He's got to make a decision. He's in the playoff right now, so I think we'll And we were talking about this before the show went live. I think we have a whole other month basically for these guys to make a decision.
Right. Yeah, and the playoffs are going to tell us a lot for Beck if he comes back, Aller, Ewers, for sure. Milroe feels very Tennessee Titany.
This would just feel like such a desperation pick, though, if you go with a quarterback this high.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
Are they that desperate?
I think so, man. Will Levis is an actual joke.
He is. Milroe or Ewers, then? You're a big Ewers guy.
I am, but I think it's Milroe.
Let's do it.
I also don't know about Callahan. I just think Milroe with the offensive upside and athleticism, you just kind of tell yourself, like, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's basically Anthony Richardson in a lot of ways. Let's move on to the Brownies, who might have a similar quarterback conundrum, but the financials might not make sense. They are drafting at 7, however, and gosh, they need a lot. It's dealer's choice here, and I think BPA is not a bad way to go. BPA is very defensive. Abdul Carter, Will Johnson, Mason Graham, all tremendous values at 7. And Abdul Carter probably less of a need than the other two. But I think Mason Graham boosting up the interior of that defense, or, Will Johnson opposite Ward would be quite a formidable, cornerback pairing to build the defense around. They've really missed JOK too this year.
Yeah, I think you go Mason Graham here.
I do too. One thing you got to know about the draft pod is the draft pod loves pairing Big Ten prospects with teams in the NFC or AFC North.
Yes.
The old black and blue, we're going to send you there. It's Midwest on Midwest,
Culture fit,
Indeed. JTS, Jets, drafting at 8th overall. Whoo-wee. What a disaster that franchise is. It might be defense time, though. It might be defense time because offense, you've drafted, Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. And O-line couldn't hurt either. That could be the other consideration. And tight end. They could use a tight end. Remember, they were getting mocked Bowers a lot last year, right?
I believe so. This screams trade down to me in this spot if you're the Jets.
Yeah, it does. And you did draft Olufashanu last year.
Yeah. Best player available, Abdul Carter sitting there. I mean, you do have a couple. You paid a lot of money, I think, right to Hassan Reddick. Yeah, because he had that holdout.
Yeah, he had the holdout.
You got Will McDonald.
So it's not Edge. Sauce has been under fire. Do you just go Will Johnson?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you find him a safety in Malachi Starks? I think it's Johnson.
I think so.
Also, Justin and I had Will Johnson drop way too far in our last mock, so we got to remedy that. The Bears. Left tackle.
Yeah.
Everyone likes their skill positions. It's basically coaching and offensive line help. I think the rest they can kind of figure out. They don't need a right tackle.
Abdul Carter's sitting there.
He is. And him and Sweat would be a nice combination. And the value is tremendous. And it's a Big Ten prospect to a North team. Bang. Abdul Carter goes to Chicago. They will be hyped about that. We've got one more in us, the Saints, before we go to the other side.
This is another tough one because I immediately think quarterback.
Who you got?
I mean, it'd have to be...
Remember Spencer Rattler being the hot draft name, huh?
Yeah.
That ended fast.
That was crazy. It'd be Quinn Ewers, I guess, then, right? I mean...
Yeah. Honestly, dude, put him in a dome.
Just unleash the arm.
Rashid Shaheed comes back.
Bombs away.
Yeah, bombs away.
Let's
Why
do
not?
it. Let's
Who
do
says
it.
no? Oh, wow. 3 quarterbacks in the top 10. That's insane. 4.
Shedeur,
Craziness,
yeah.
right. We will continue that on the other side. You know who else has like 4 quarterbacks in the top 10? it's your life, brother. It's your life and all the stress that it can bring sometimes, you know? It's like preparing for Christmas and travel and buff season and, gambling debt. It's like the four horsemen, and you need to choose chill sometimes, you know? You need to choose chill and do it with a delicious, cold-filtered, local, beautiful Coors Light. That's right, my boy. Nothing screams the wind down during the holidays like a good Coors Light. I can't hear what you're saying across the table. It doesn't matter, because this Coors Light is here with me and the mountains turn blue, and I am enjoying myself. Make the most of the times. You choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company. Golden, you said it. You know it. Colorado.
The GOATs.
And of course, Bet365, our exclusive betting partner, the only place you can sign up using our code DNVR365, the only place you can find our custom boosted bets week in, week out on the website, and the only place you can take advantage of their new entry offer. Sign up, $5 minimum bet, $150 in bonus bets for you to play with. Link in the description, QR code on screen right there. Sign up, DNVR365. Help us out and get in on some winning, some futures, some awards. I've got Bo Nix Rookie of the Year, I still believe.
Whoa.
It was like in the 2000s.
What a pick.
Even better odds, Sean Payton Coach of the Year.
This guy just knows so much ball.
I do know ball. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. I love nothing more than doing an insane segue and my co-host being like, where's he going to take this one with the 4 quarterbacks in the top 10?
Yeah.
There you go, baby. There you go. My man. Okay. Love the Toyota chat filling out. Thank you for joining us, talking a little NFL futures. The future of the whole sport of football we cover on this podcast here. And we are talking mock draft, getting into the Dolphins now at 11. Boy, where's Colorado native Mike McDaniel go with this one, huh?
That's a great question, Dre.
Yeah. Offensive guard, interior defensive line, safety. Boy, it's a real, like, eat your vegetables type needs for the Dolphins. You know, Malachi Starks is who stands out to me of that group.
That's what I see.
Yeah. Best player remaining on my board.
I mean, you have some pass rush. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
ideal, though. You got Chop Robinson, who we loved last year.
Yeah, and he's come along.
But Calais Campbell, I mean, how much longer does he got?
Another Colorado native. Yeah, it's been a minute, Calais. And the Chubb experiment didn't work out.
Yep. I love Michael Williams out of Georgia.
You do.
I mean,
He's an upside pick. I mean, I get it. He's got a lot going for him for sure. There's a few guys like that in this class.
Starks is a good pick too. I mean, I think you gotta add some strength to that secondary. You have Jalen Ramsey, and I think he's been a little bit forgotten out there, and it's just because they don't really have anyone else out there, so they just get abused through the air constantly.
Yeah, I think Starks is a good value. I don't know if he's the identity the Dolphins need to go in, but identity is schmidentity.
Let's do it.
The Colts are up next. And yes, Toyota chat, I think you're shaking in your boots because their top need is, in fact, tight end. And could they go Tyler Warren this soon? Could they? I don't know how, Anthony Richardson, I don't. They'll prolong it for a year. It's fine. Leitu Latu's coming along. I mean, the defense is young. It's promising, blah, 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 blah. You could go corner. I guess the next tier is the Siobhan Revels and the Benjamin Morrisons of the world.
Yep.
Safety, they're probably upset Malachi Starks just went.
Probably.
Edge,
I don't know. I kind of like this defense.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's tight end, man.
Yeah, I like the wide receivers.
Loveland, Warren. Yeah, Josh Downs come along. So Alex Pierce is like highest average yards per reception. Pittman's still not a guy I would forget.
Mm-hmm.
You've got
Loveland or
your
Warren?
running backs. I think it's Warren all day, every day.
Okay.
So there you go. Tyler Warren, controversial winner of the tight end award. I saw the real ones were saying, how could you not give this to Harold Fannin Jr.?
Your guy.
Come on.
A lot of award controversy this year.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Interesting.
And great insights from Adam over there in the Toyota chat saying CBS had them take Starks today. Okay, we move on to the Bengals, another team that could be interested in a tight end, but God, I think they really got to shore up that defense. And it probably starts at edge. That's a classic four-man front that just brings four-man pressure. It's been like that since we were teeny tiny little boys, and it'll be like that when we are long gone. Gosh, I hope so. If that part of the world could stay consistent, the four-man front for
Something
the Bengals,
has to.
right, I'd be happy for it. I only bring that up because I think Mikael Williams might be a great fit in that sort of system.
I mean, it's all edge right now. You got him, you got Scourton there, you got James Pierce Jr. there. You got options here, so it's kind of just pick your flavor. I mean, do you want to...
I like Williams in a four-man front.
Do you want a guy in Scourton, though, who's just done it? All he done is produce in college? Do you want a guy like Pierce who kind of has done it to that level and is just...
But the upside is...
freaky in terms of his, length and ability to convert speed to power with that frame. Mikael Williams, too. I mean, you want to talk about frame and just potential. I mean, that's number one, so... Let's go with Mikael Williams.
There you go. Beautiful. We have
Dallas?
the Cowboys, and last time we gave them a Marion Hampton, which I thought was kind of a sneaky good pick. Yeah, man. I mean, they've been really destroyed by injuries this year.
Yeah.
But
Offensive
the
line?
running back situation has been a disaster, and yeah, refreshing the offensive line could be a way to go.
Offensive line feels like such a Cowboys pick, to do.
Mm-hmm. And the O-linemen have dropped, which I think is accurate with what will actually happen. They are a team could go with patching up the interior. A Will Campbell or Kevin Banks being moved to the interior should scare them less than other teams who are looking more specifically for offensive tackles.
True. I'd just go offensive line, I think. I mean, I think they want Genty, ideally.
I think so, too.
But the Cowboys thing to do would be just to keep on improving that offensive line.
Let's keep Kelvin Banks in the Longhorn State and give the Texas left tackle to the Cowboys. We move on to the 49ers. And yeah, they're in need of a big refresher here, especially on defense, but maybe on the O-line too.
What do you think is the biggest need?
Man. I mean, they're going to be losing some corner help. I think refreshing that edge rotation and with all the guys around, that might be it. Because Bosa struggles to stay healthy, and for a minute it was like, oh, the guy opposite Bosa is always a stud, and they've kind of, like Leonard Floyd's still producing and stuff.
But they've shed a lot of that talent. I mean, they've just had to get rid. That's just what happens as you. It was kind of why you were good, but as you get better, I mean, you just have to shed some of that salary, which you've seen them do in trades and such. So this feels like a 49ers thing to do. I'd take.
Who's more Niners, Scruton or Pierce?
I think Pierce is.
I do too. He would be nasty on that defense if he comes anywhere close. We move to 16. The Atlanta Falcons, who just announced Michael Penix Jr.
Penix season. Let's go. It's time.
It really is. That defense is so abysmal, and they cannot create pressure. I think Scruton is a perfect pick. And for my board, Princely Umanamian and Mike Green from Marshall would also be highly ranked edges, as would a Jalen Walker, who's a bit linebacker edge hybrid. He's actually my highest rated guy. Georgia guy, stays in Georgia. That's a fun story. Can we go Jalen Walker?
Sure.
A little bit of a move edge. We go to the Cardinals now. The Arizona Cardinals, again, I feel like this is a bit defensive heavy.
Yeah.
They could probably go interior more than outside. And interior, you have some nice options remaining in Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, respectively, Oregon and Michigan. And then Deion Walker, who for Kentucky, who we've forgotten a bit in season, but you put on that Kentucky tape, he pops for sure. He's a massive nose tackle who moves really well. Walter Nolan Jr., Ole Miss. And these are all guys who, who we don't take for the Cardinals, I think could be a sneaky pick for the Broncos as well at 23. So 16 cards, or 17 cards. I've been making too many choices. Why don't you go dealer's choice here?
We'll just go Derek Harmon. I think he's been a big riser. He's really made an impact at Oregon. And,
phenomenal player. And playoffs can raise his stock even more with the playoffs, right? Which is a big one. I think that'll be a theme here.
Thank you, AJ.
AJ, always a legend in the Toyota chat. Adam had a fun comment saying that Broncos need to pull a John Elway trade and swap Loveland for Warren. Could be. Now we have ourselves the Seahawks. Seahawks are an interesting one. I honestly think O-line is a sneaky bigger need for them.
Yeah.
And Will Campbell, Josh Connerly Jr. still on the board. If not, it's more, edge safety linebacker. Safety, though, they've just pulling all these cornerbacks out of a hat. The ones who aren't working at cornerback, they're just moving to safety. So I think safety's less of a need. I don't know that there's a linebacker I'd go with.
We have Scourton sitting there, though, right?
Yeah, you do. Who I think the value is tremendous on. So let's do that. He feels very Seahawks.
Exactly. So on brand.
Chargers. Lots to think about and talk about with the Chargers coming up with the Broncos in a must-win potential playoff with tons of playoff implications. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you guys get it. The Chargers have been a great story. The way Jim Harbaugh's turned that team around, similar to how Sean Payton's turned the team around.
It shows the importance of coaching, man.
Sure does.
It really
that
is.
Culture has been ingrained from day one.
Well, and that it's not just coaching. It's having a coach who has an identity and is able to, kind of turn it around quickly, too. They know exactly what they want. They come in and, Sean Payton's got the extra year on Jim at this point, but you saw it in the draft last year, taking Joe Alt 5th overall when everyone was screaming for a wide receiver, and the dividends are paying off at this point. Mm-hmm. So it's that conviction that these guys have, and it's just the importance of sound football, having an identity, and really it's kind of just like the power of belief, I think, too, when you have someone that can rally a team like those guys can.
But I think the power of belief, it really does come from then knowing your fundamentals, trusting your fundamentals, and then it's much easier to believe when it's kind of where we're compartmentalizing and knowing how to break it down. Their defense was just world beaters. They've slowed down a little as injuries have caught up to them. Mm-hmm. The offense has been a bit weird.
They do need more wide receivers. I mean, Quentin Johnston's made some plays this year. He's had some bigger games. Last year was rough for him. He's come along
nicely. Ladd McConkey's been a big impact. I think tight end could be a need and would fit that culture. You would have a tight end.
That would be a Harbaugh pick.
That Jim Harbaugh knows well in Colston Loveland. Exactly. He won a natty with that man. Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. I wonder, with the running game being so important, could this be a team that takes a running back a little higher? Omarion Hampton has dropped to them. Genty's off the board. He went 5th overall to the Carolina Panthers. Adam in the Toyota chat. Caleb Johnson, KJ2, who the chat is enamored with. He would be a real fit. Mm-hmm. I mean, if Gus Edwards is your kind of back, Caleb Johnson fits perfectly.
Definitely.
Quinshon Judkins. Or do they wait for like a Donovan Edwards, someone like that later on? That could be it. Or do you upgrade your wide receiver? LB3, Isaiah Bond, Emeka Egbuka, Trey Harris, all worthy picks. Or do you just go Loveland?
I mean,
which makes the Broncos pick far more interesting.
Yes,
by the way.
I'm tempted to just go with Loveland just because of that connection to Michigan.
I am too. And he's here's the case for Loveland in a Harbaugh specific scheme. it allows you to masquerade 2 tight end formations, 21 personnel, into really 11 personnel, which is
absolutely.
a 3 wide receiver,
Yeah.
right? Which is always when you're playing that battle of how many men do you have in a box because you need to honor the Chargers running game and that identity. That's kind of a key.
Yeah, it is. And it's why the Michigan teams were so successful when Jim was there with J.J. McCarthy. They had the ability to be multiple like that. I mean, come out showing 12 personnel, and then J.J. claps his hands, and all of a sudden, we're kind of spreading it out. Having that with Justin Herbert is a weapon.
Scheme math for sure plays into this.
Let's just do it then.
Yeah, we got it with the Chargers. Next segment coming right up.
Let's go.
We will have the Broncos pick. On the other side of this, we have to tell you about Toyota. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA, just like all-wheel and four-wheel drive has been a part of Toyota's DNA. Just like trusted vehicles that you can get lost with in the mountains with your homies, or drive around the neighborhood looking at the Christmas lights. You should do that. Mm-hmm. You should come see your boy, and we'll drive you around the neighborhood, look at some Christmas lights.
I'm down. Let's go.
In a Toyota, of course, where you'll feel right at home and right like family, and right like you're meant to belong in a car that was meant for Colorado roads right off the bat. We love Toyota. They've been such an amazing partner to work with, and it's been incredible hearing the community and how much their Toyota cars have meant to them. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you this season. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial. Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. You know the deal. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, and DNVR's exclusive automotive partner. We love Toyota. And get lost in a Toyota today. And of course, you want to talk about getting lost? Get lost at one of our tailgates. Come to the Mecca and come hang at the DNVR bar for some of the awesome watch parties we have going on all year long. Check out the website, thednvr.com/events. You'll see it in the show description. You've got the QR code right there, baby. It's a great time this fall with all the great football games we've had, college football playoffs coming up, Nugs Avs season heating up. You've got college hoops, It's just a great time to come to the bar, check out some events, or come to a Broncos tailgate right there by the stadium. Meet Todd, meet Noshawn, meet Jarrell Casey, and watch them do their pregame live for some of these big games. Meet Dre. The man, the myth, the legend, the Schwan man's there too.
No, we all go there to meet Dre.
I mean, the community makes me feel very, very loved, and I cannot tell you how much that means to me. So come check it out, have some fun, and that's my spiel on DNVR events. We're back, baby.
All right.
Pick number 20.
Let's round it out.
The Buccaneers. You remember when I'd call them the other name I love to call them? The Fuccaneers? Yeah.
Oh, classic.
I love that so much.
Classic.
It is a classic. You can do that with the Ohio State Buckeyes, too. That's a fun one as well. That's a real fun one. So, the Bucs on the board. And, man, what a nice season they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield. They've got a lot of things going right for them.
They do.
But they could patch up some things. This might be where the value really matches up for a corner. That next tier of corners, the Benjamin Morrisons, the Siobhan Revels. Siobhan Revels sounds like a controversial right-wing podcaster, like, oh, yeah, like I'm...
Did you hear what they said on Siobhan Revel?
But anyways, the East Carolina corner that we talked up that 1 week, and then we published the podcast, and he was out for the rest of the season. So it was really sad.
He balled out the week before, though. That's why we talked about it.
It was really sad.
He's kind of a big draft crush by a lot of analysts out there. So that's where I went to. I mean, I could get the argument for wide receiver. Chris
Godwin's contract is up. He'll be a target for the Broncos in free agency, potentially, I think.
But cornerback's a nice fit, I think.
Yeah, I do too. Rams at 21. Corner, linebacker, offensive tackle, wide receivers listed here.
Will Campbell's just sitting there.
Quarterback's an interesting one.
That would be very
Could they be
interesting.
intrigued by, I don't know, Carson Beck, you know?
Oof. Wouldn't be me.
No, it wouldn't. And honestly, I don't think he's going to be able to repair his stock in the playoffs. I think that's over.
Drew Allar would be interesting. I think McVay would have fun with him.
He would. He actually really would.
Will Campbell's literally just sitting there, though.
Yeah. Moved inside to guard.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you, yes, a prospect with the last name Campbell, but what about Jihad Campbell?
Your guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's up there for me. So anyways, you can pick between the Campbells. I defer to you, Mike.
Let's go with your guy. I trust you.
Jihad.
Okay.
I won't take that further and make any inappropriate jokes. We move on to 22.
All right, one more.
Where we have the commies drafting the Washington Commanders. What should the commies do? Corner.
That's a great question.
It's kind of back 7 time for them.
I agree.
Emmanuel Forbes had to punt on that. Honestly, they've got good production out of some old edges. Dante Fowler Jr., you know?
Yep.
AJ with an amazing comment. But in McVay's hands, who knows? Maybe Carson Beck does get repaired. For those listening audio only, he said Carson Beck, ? Girl, no.
I'm so out on him.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a popular pick. I think they need to repair the defense. Who's our best remaining edge here? I mean, for me, it'd be Princely or my guy, Mike Green from Marshall, who's awesome. Shamar Stewart, also an intriguing one, but if you need a stand-up edge, less so.
I don't know. This, I think, would be a little rich here, but your boy Kyle Kennard is available, too.
He is. I mean, his production wouldn't make him very rich. Let's go Kennard.
Okay.
Let's go Kennard. I'm about it, as the kids say. And
all right, we
here
did it.
Are the Broncos.
Here we go.
We did it. An applause for us. Did we leave ourselves enough time? Yeah, we did.
Definitely.
We did. Okay. Good job, guys. Good job. Yes, Colorado Maloner?
Oh, yeah.
Our
Mike
eyes
Green?
aren't great. In the Toyota chat, Mike Green is
Melanier?
the edge rusher for Marshall, and he's outstanding. I think he leads the country in tackles for a loss and sacks. Motor's incredible. Honestly, he wears number 15. Big time Nick Bonito vibes.
Elite edge
Big time
number.
Nick Bonito vibes for sure. Bend, first step quickness, a relentless motor. Great at, like, once he's got you in the backfield, he's closing that tackle and bringing you down.
Yeah.
I just think he's a really talented prospect in this draft. For me, he is only behind Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker. Yeah, in this edge class. So that's how highly I think of him. It's not being talked about enough in draft circles, but I think his stock is up, and the production speaks for itself. And yeah, he's
having an outrageous season.
He's a beast. The tape's insane. I think the last year's production, while not at the absurd years of this year, very high, very high. I'm Heaven's Demon. We gave the Raiders Shedeur Sanders. So yeah, check out the start of the show. Thank you, Cody. You are the true GOAT. Mad love
Cody
to you.
is a GOAT.
Okay, the Broncos at 23. Yes, offensive skill positions.
I love how this shaped up for them because I think you can go so many different ways.
Aside from the tight ends. The tight ends,
Yes.
you kind of say, like, hey, we'll see if where Harold Fannin and Mason Taylor and those kind of guys fall in the second round. Which, praise be, we have a second-round pick. God, that's nice.
I'm so happy that we just have all our picks back. It's so nice.
Yeah, that's the gift that keeps on giving. Since we last mocked it up, Garett Bolles locked down.
Yeah.
So while part of my brain's always going to think, look, it's Sean Payton early on. His philosophy is Bill Parcells. build inside out, right? So defensive line, offensive line, you should never neglect. I saw a comment in the Toyota chat about Tyler Booker to replace Ben Powers long term. Yeah, he's not my top rated guard, but it's a nice guard class, especially when you start moving some of the offensive tackles to the guard position. And think O-line, you think big guys. That's who you want. So Will Campbell, I don't know. But again, as a left guard, much bigger than he has as a left tackle. Right. And that is the position I think he'd transition to, and that is Ben Powers' position. Running back on the table to me.
I think so. Bro, literally every position almost.
Aside from quarterback.
Yes.
And wide receiver now. LB3, Emeka Egbuka, Isaiah Bond have dropped. I think they're all nice fits for different reasons in Denver. I do also think between Sutton, Mims, Vele, and Troy Franklin, there is you don't want to clog too many spots to limit the development of those young guys,
right?
Who, like a Riley Moss, like a Nick Benito, don't read too much into the rookie year. I think year 2 can always be very big for young guys.
It's important to remember
Mims,
that, man.
I mean, look at Mims.
Exactly.
It took a few, but now he's starting to show himself as a real weapon. Is Malachi still available? I assume that's Malachi Starks. He is not. He went to Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins at 11. And you keep talking through options. I'm going to keep answering questions here as we're being asked best center in the class.
Talked, building inside out. If you go to the other side of the ball, you have Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant just right there. 2 impact players, I think, that could really change the game for you on the defensive line.
Kenneth Grant's a first guy off the bus kind of guy.
Yeah,
like his
absolutely.
Deion Walker from Kentucky.
Yep.
And DJ Jones, look, he could be a cap casualty, not cap casualty, but he might not be renewed.
Yeah.
He's making $10 million a year right now. If you didn't have him, and we saw this last Sunday, that interior D-line depth does start to get dissipated a little. We don't have Jihad Campbell or Jalen Walker, so I think linebackers off the board. As we said, I think tight ends off the board. I think back 7, you could talk me into a little more corner safety depth. I don't think that's a round 1 need.
It doesn't excite me, yeah.
And we've seen George Payton consistently address that on day 3, which is why you have guys like Chris Abrams. And, they have built up the depth.
Yeah, I mean, PJ Locke, Damari Mathis was a day 3 pick. Riley Moss was a 3rd-round pick. So
I kind of think, as it's shaken out, TJ Sanders, another interior defensive lineman that gets a lot of hype at South Carolina. I see him as maybe more of a 2nd-rounder when I watch that South Carolina defense, which has talent all over. I mean, their safety's awesome. Nick Anwari, he is, if we wanted to go safety.
That's your guy, too.
That guy's a beast. Kyle Kennard, love him. He's maybe the 4th best defensive prospect on that defense. And I like other interior D linemen better than him, but he's a great name to throw around by the chat here. I think tight ends off the table because of who was taken already in Loveland and Warren. I think wide receiver. Look, if a T-Mac dropped to you, okay.
LB3's sitting there.
He is. Honestly, Egbuka, I think, is more the guy who solves all your issues. Inside, outside.
Right.
He can be a number 1. He can be a number 3. He works with Cortland Sutton without, taking away from Cortland Sutton. He works with Mims without taking away from Mims or Franklin. Egbuka, I think, is a perfect fit, even though he's far from my BPA. And honestly, I would love a running back. I think Omarion Hampton is tremendous, tremendous value.
Yeah.
His 3-down impact would be incredible on this team. The fact that he could be a bell cow at that size while also giving you explosiveness and juice and receiving ability. I mean, I would argue that not since Reggie Bush has Sean Payton had a running back that talented to work with. And I know about Mark Ingram. I'm aware, I know about Alvin Kamara, but coming out of college, I didn't see them at that level.
Right.
And then I keep going back to, it's just don't overthink it, stupid. Inside out. This is how you build this team. There's plenty of D lineman value. You just go Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan or Deion Walker. And imagine what Nick Benito and Cooper and Drew Sanders and That defense is, Zach Allen and all those guys can do JFN when they've got a guy like that anchoring the middle of their defense. Good luck, man. You think the Chiefs had a problem blocking the Broncos this year?
Yeah.
Just wait till they've got a clogger like Walker or Nolan or Grant. Like, Mahomes ain't going to get more than a second,
All right, you're convincing me. I think you got to go defensive tackle here. For all those reasons, it fits what Sean Payton, how he likes to build a team, as we've mentioned.
Oh, man, I just got myself fired up. It's Kenneth Grant time, baby.
If you could add,
it's time to take oxygen away from Patrick Mahomes. Smother him.
I'm all in now.
Like a boa constrictor.
Yeah, the boa constrictor analogy is back.
First guy off the bus, Kenneth Grant, baby. Put on the Ohio State tape. See the impact this kid makes.
Watch them wreck Alabama last year in the Rose Bowl.
Damn straight. I might need to take a breath. Like, I got myself blood's pumping right now,
Him and Mason Graham completely took over that Rose Bowl. And this defense didn't get a lot of shine, as much shine as it did the previous year, and that's partly because they were so bad on offense, Michigan was this last season, that those guys are just out on the field constantly. But as you mentioned, the size and imagining Nick Bonito and all these edge rushers, and you get one-on-ones across the board. When you add this much size, it kind of just changes your whole defense, and it makes you, that much scarier. And you just mentioned it. With Mahomes, these guys in the AFC, you got to get after the quarterback, man. And so add strength to strength. Let's just go get all these guys. Let's get bigger. Let's get nasty. And then, as we mentioned earlier, too, we have all our picks. You can still go get yourself a running back.
Right.
There's plenty of them. We led the show with that.
We've talked about the success that Coach Sean Payton has had in finding tight ends, running backs, wide receivers outside of the first round.
Yeah.
That's been a theme for us the last 2 years.
Yeah.
The only other one, and it just popped in my mind, Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from Texas A&M, superstar prospect, had a really nice year, but more like Mikael Williams. You're more dreaming on the upside, the flashes, the being able to get pressure more so than actually being productive, because it's just an outstanding combination of size and athleticism. He's more of a JFN five tech in your three-man defense. Alyssa, bless you.
Yeah,
She's
God
out
bless
here
you.
Sneezing off air. I'm not going to ignore it. My mom raised me right.
Well, and then Walter Nolan's there, too. He's not exactly the size, but he's got, like, game record potential.
He does.
And he's just got that rare athleticism that you see at that three technique position.
More of a pass rushing tech. Yeah, five tech. So you could, like, we've got the gap stuffers who bring a little more, right? Or you've got the five techs, JFNs, who maybe on third down in the right position is a stand-up edge in that wide nine or even something like that. I still would go Kenneth Grant, but I just wanted to have that talk.
You can't look at it's the size, I think, that wins that argument for me.
It's the math.
Well, yeah, that too.
Chargers Broncos are built the right way because they understand inside out and they understand the simple math. Why did we give the Chargers Loveland? Scheme math. You can masquerade two tight end personnel, 21 personnel, 22 personnel into 11 personnel because Loveland is a tight end wide receiver hybrid. And the same goes with what we're talking about the Broncos. It alters the math of your defensive front where all of a sudden you have to double team this clogger in the middle. That's going to give you one-on-ones for JFN, for Zach Allen, for Bonito, for Cooper. I like my chances of winning one of those.
Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah.
And then you maybe add another late round edge or something. They've had some success, obviously. Jonathan Cooper. He was a 7th round pick. I think
correct.
George Payton has shown a tendency to actually find good defensive contributors late in the draft, edge being one of them too. So I do think that you got to add to this defensive line. Again, strength on strength, man. Even last year, with all the problems this team had last year, how they manhandled Kansas City in that game here in Denver, was eye-opening, and it showed the true potential of this team that we're now realizing this season. So
damn straight.
Let's keep it going. I mean, that's how they won the Super Bowl in 2015. They just dominated the defensive line. Talk about Sean Payton. It's the meat and potatoes, man.
That's exactly right. And their deep wide receiver class. It's a deep running back class. It's a deep tight end class. And yes, Mason Taylor, we've talked about him before on this show. He's another of my favorites. Adam's been amazing with his comments. Congrats to you, Adam, because you're a ball knower. And he brings up the point of, did you guys see the Titans nose tackle and what he did last week, right? Sweat, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, add someone like that to the Broncos defense and things get fun.
It changes your defense, man.
I can't believe we're here. Tears of joy are about to pop out.
And you know what?
The playoffs are here?
You know what's
Friday and Saturday?
The best part about that entire conversation, Dre?
What?
We didn't mention the word quarterback once.
I know, man. I know. It's so good. It's so good. Colorado, Milano, or Josiah Stewart, the little edge rusher from Michigan would be Austin. And Garett, the Louisville, he's a big edge. I like him a lot. He's played really well. Yeah, it'd be nice value in the third. Though I don't know. You've got other needs, so maybe you don't need edge. I still believe in Drew Sanders too. So
there's some good players available, man.
There sure is. Yeah, we poo-poo the class. I've gone past that point in my draft analysis where I'm like, wow, I like this guy. I like that guy,
Right.
Jonah Savanea, versatility, and the way he fits in a power blocking scheme, if we wanted to talk O-line would be a nice fit because you can draft him to take over for Powers in a year and then for McGlinchey in 2,
Yeah.
So, again, that's a pick that wouldn't surprise me. Reminds me a bit of Pooney, the Kansas offensive tackle that was taken by the Niners, was a Senior Bowl standout, and he's played well for them as the right guard already this year. Let's get into these playoff picks. Of course, all the picks and odds brought to you by Bet365. We start with the Indiana Derby, Hoosiers versus Irishmen.
I'm picking Indiana.
The line is +7 for the Hoosiers. Riley Leonard against the Rourke.
I like the quarterback more.
I do too. They've done a better job taking care of bad teams. Both of these are like like James Franklin and Ryan Day could have coached these teams in their sleep. Like they just boat raced the bad teams, and they looked susceptible against the good teams. If Notre Dame even played a good team, I'm not sure they did.
I mean, the Northern Illinois Huskies are just
they are world beaters. They are world beaters. I'll ride with you. I'll ride with you on the Hoosiers. Kamara, interior, kind of a hybrid interior edge, like kind of rounder edge who could also move to the interior. Nice little day 3 guy I wouldn't mind in Denver.
This game is tomorrow, by the way, too.
Yes, this is Friday. Boy, a lot of the top prospects for the Irish are kind of out. But, watch the backfield. And I'm with you. Saturday, then we move on to SMU at Penn State. Penn State 8.5-point favorites. Tons of prospects for the Nittany Lions, especially on the defensive front. In that backfield, obviously show favorite Tyler Warren. And personal favorite in the other backfield is Braden Smith, the former Miami wide receiver who's been the star running back for SMU. And SMU has some nice weapons in general. Guys,
they really do.
Guys who you could easily overlook, but a guy like Sean Payton could value properly. I cannot shake what a big line this is at 8.5 and how James Franklin and the Nittany Lions haven't earned this. And yet, the way SMU started against Clemson, I might just kind of be out on them.
They do have a quarterback in Kevin Jennings, though, that I think can make things happen and get out of trouble against this Penn State front. And I think he can create some problems for them.
Yeah, I'm just going to take SMU to cover. But Penn State looked good against Oregon. I go back and forth. 8.5 is a properly set line. I may just like the over 54.5. That might be my lock.
I like that. I'm going to go with SMU to cover at the very least. I don't know if they'll win this game, but
oh boy!
I mean, they're just a tough team, man, and I think they're going to impress. They impress a lot in the trenches. You hear SMU and you go, former G5 program, all this stuff. Can they compete at this level? But just from watching them this year, I've been really impressed with how they've hung in there, especially against Clemson.
Yeah.
So
no, they're a good team. Producer Riley Sorbo, would you give us your picks when we're done giving ours? Because he knows ball, and I'm looking at the slate. I already know what's coming. We are going to agree on all 4 picks, and we're going to like the dog in all 4 games.
Oh, gosh.
And that is a sign of disaster. So I'm hoping, Sorbo's actually, he's like sharp.
He is.
This guy knows his stuff. He's a betting savant. Because, Clemson plus 12 at Texas. Yeah, I like Clemson. I think they match up well. I think they can control the clock. I think they can stand up to Texas in the trenches, which is kind of like the base layer to hang in with the Longhorns.
And I think I might like the quarterback more. I know you're a Ewers guy, but I think...
Hey, you might not be wrong. I'm kind of becoming a Klubnik guy. Yeah. I don't need to cuss again on the pod.
I'll take Clemson,
yeah,
man.
we agree, right? Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Coach O, I miss you so much. Could we get him on the draft pod, do you think?
Oh, my gosh.
God, I'd love his analysis.
I'll text him after this. I'll see if he's available.
And if he could give us a Go Tigers for every mascot that has the Tigers, that'd be amazing.
You know what? That's all we need, actually. We just need Coach O on the show for 10 seconds. And we just need him to say, Go Tigers. Clip it, and it's just a staple of the show.
Right, like do a pick preview with every college football game that has a Tiger in it, and just have them give us those insights. We close with Tennessee.
Oh, we're really going to do this.
Plus 7.5.
We're really going to do this.
Ohio State. And we are taking the Vols all day, every day. That defensive line is awesome. Dalen Sampson.
The running back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tennessee running backs with Sean Payton. I think that's worked out once before.
It's been successful.
Everyone on that D line you want to watch. Ohio State, everyone on their defensive line, everyone in their secondary. Basically every defender, wide receiver, skill position player on Ohio State.
Running backs.
You want to watch. Interior offensive line, Donovan Jackson, who's been moved to left tackle for Ohio State. You want to watch him. And we did have a question about the top center in the class that we didn't answer earlier. It'd be Jared Wilson from Georgia.
Brailsford went back to school.
Yeah, because Brailsfield, the Bama center, is going back to school. USC's Jonah Monheim gets some cred. And who knows? Maybe Gray Zabel, the North Dakota State left tackle, who's going to be moved inside, could also be a top center. Mayland is a guy that the chat's rightfully bringing up. The tight end for SMU, he's having a nice year as well, and is a guy you should look at.
Weapons,
he's another receiving tight end who's in the mix. He's just a junior, so you wonder if maybe he'll go back to school. He's undersized.
I have a question for you.
233.
Before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Because we just picked all dogs.
Yeah.
You have to pick one to win outright. Who are you picking?
I feel best.
It's Tennessee.
About Indiana.
Really? I think it's
Tennessee. At the shoe's tough, and there's a real sliding doors for Ohio State. They could be ultra motivated.
Broken.
They could be broken and just wilt like a flower. They could also be kind of playing with house money and just take it to the Vols. Riley, who do you have ATS in these games?
I don't know if they can actually hear me, but I think I pretty much agree with you guys other than, I think Penn State probably.
He agrees with us on everything but Penn State, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a good pick.
I mean, they could totally.
Talent-wise, they could kind of boat race SMU.
Exactly. I could see this being a very tight game, and then I could see Penn State up 20 points in the third quarter, and it's long over.
100%. That's going to do it for us. Man, this was awesome. Thank you for tuning in. We'll figure out something Christmas week, but I don't think we'll be live in studio. I can tell you that much.
Soon enough.
But still, check it out. And yeah, man, happy holidays to you all. Enjoy the playoffs, and we'll be back next week in some form or other. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.